Taman pressed his face against the observation window and stared at Paradise Station. The massive structure floated in space like a silver flower, its petals slowly rotating around a glowing center. He had seen pictures before, but nothing prepared him for the real thing. The station was enormous, bigger than any city back on Earth. "It's beautiful," Jiwoo said beside him. She was bouncing on her toes, something she always did when excited. "I can't believe we're actually here." "Stop bouncing," Hyunwoo muttered from behind them. "You're making me nervous." "Everything makes you nervous," Minji said with a small smile. She was the calmest of the four, always had been. "We'll be fine." The transport ship docked with a soft thud. Taman grabbed his bag and followed the others through the airlock. The moment they stepped into Paradise Station, everything changed. The air smelled different, sweeter somehow. The gravity felt lighter, making each step feel like he might float away. Taman had read that the station kept gravity at 0.4 g to accommodate most species, but experiencing it was strange. The arrival hall was packed with aliens. Taman tried not to stare, but it was impossible. A group of bird-like creatures with bright purple feathers walked past, chirping in voices that sounded like music. A student made entirely of what looked like clear jelly rolled by, leaving a wet trail on the floor. Near the information desk, a tall being that seemed to be made of living crystal was helping a tiny fuzzy creature that barely reached Taman's knee. "Welcome to Paradise Station." A cheerful voice made them all jump. A floating robot with a smiley face on its screen hovered in front of them. "You must be the human students. I am Guidebot 7. Please follow me to your orientation." They walked through the station, or rather they bounced. The low gravity made it hard to walk normally. Jiwoo kept giggling every time she took a step. Hyunwoo looked green like he might be sick. Minji moved carefully, testing each step before committing to it. Taman tried to copy her technique. Guidebot 7 led them through wide corridors filled with more alien students. Some pointed at the humans and whispered to their friends. Others didn't seem to notice them at all. Taman heard fragments of conversations in languages he couldn't understand, though his translator implant caught some words. New species, Earth, dangerous world. They arrived at a large auditorium. Inside, hundreds of students sat on various types of seats designed for different body types. The humans were directed to a row of normal-looking chairs. Taman sat down carefully, worried the low gravity might make him bounce right back up. A hologram appeared at the front of the room. It showed a peaceful planet with blue oceans and green continents. "Welcome, new students, to Paradise Station," a warm voice said. "You come from 217 different worlds representing the diversity of our beautiful galaxy." The hologram changed, showing different planets. "Our station exists to promote learning, understanding, and cooperation between all species. Here you will study together, live together, and grow together." Taman felt a surge of pride. Earth had only joined the galactic community 5 years ago. They were still the new kids, the outsiders. But here they were, attending the most prestigious university in known space. "All students must complete core requirements," the voice continued. "These include mathematics, galactic history, communication studies, and physical cultivation." Jiwoo leaned over to Taman. "Physical cultivation? What's that?" "I think it's like gym class," Taman whispered back. "Gym class?" Jiwoo brightened. "Oh, that should be easy." The hologram showed students running through obstacle courses and lifting weights. "Physical cultivation is mandatory for all species. It maintains health and teaches discipline. Your instructor will explain more during your first session." After the orientation, Guidebot 7 showed them to their dormitory. The rooms were small but comfortable, with adjustable furniture that could change to fit different body types. Taman had a roommate, another exchange student from Earth named Dongwoo, who wouldn't arrive until next week. That night, the four friends met in the common area. Other students were there too, studying or talking in small groups. A reptilian student with green scales was watching something on a data pad. Two of the fuzzy creatures were playing what looked like chess, but with a board that had 12 dimensions. "So," Hyunwoo said, keeping his voice low, "did anyone else notice how they kept mentioning that we're from a dangerous world?" "I heard some students talking about it in the hallway," Minji said. "They called Earth a Class 12 death world." I looked it up. Most civilized species come from Class 1 through 3 worlds. Class 12 is almost the highest danger rating. "That's ridiculous," Jiwoo said. "Earth isn't that dangerous." Compared to their worlds, maybe it is, Taman said. He pulled up information on his datapad. Look at this. The average gravity for inhabited worlds is 0.5 g. Earth is 1 g. Our oxygen levels are considered high. Our weather is classified as extreme and unpredictable. Yunwu laughed. They think our weather is extreme? It's just weather. To them it might be, Minji said thoughtfully. Think about it. If you grew up on a world where it was always the same temperature, where storms never happened, where the gravity was half of what we're used to, Earth would seem terrifying. Great, Yunwu said. So everyone here thinks we're from some nightmare planet. Let's just prove them wrong, Jiwoo said with a grin. We'll show them that humans are friendly and normal. We'll ace all our classes and make lots of friends. The next morning, Taman woke early. He got dressed and headed to breakfast in the main cafeteria. The room was huge, with different sections serving food for different species. The human section served mostly Earth food, though some of it tasted slightly off. The alien food looked interesting but potentially dangerous. Taman stuck with something that looked like scrambled eggs. After breakfast, they headed to their first physical cultivation class. The gymnasium was enormous, with high ceilings and various equipment that Taman didn't recognize. About 30 students were already there, representing at least 15 different species. A tall crystalline being stood at the front. Her body was transparent, with light flowing through her like water. When she spoke, her voice was melodious, almost singing. Good morning, students. I am Instructor Velmara. Welcome to Physical Cultivation. She explained the class structure. They would meet 3 times per week. Each session would focus on different aspects of physical fitness: strength, endurance, flexibility, and coordination. At the end of the semester, they would face the Gauntlet of Ascension, a comprehensive test of everything they learned. The gauntlet is challenging, Velmara said, her crystalline form glowing slightly. Only 4 in 10 students pass on their first attempt. But do not worry. I will prepare you well. Taman glanced at his friends. Hyunwoo looked confident. He had been on his university's track team back on Earth. Jiwoo seemed excited, bouncing slightly despite sitting still. Minji looked calm as always, though Taman knew she didn't particularly enjoy exercise. Today we will do simple assessments, Velmara continued. I need to understand your current capabilities. We will start with a basic endurance run. Please follow me to the track. They walked to an indoor track that curved around the gymnasium. It looked normal enough, except for the control panel at the starting line. Velmara touched it and the track began to glow slightly. This is a gravitational resistance track, she explained. You will run 50 meters. The gravity will gradually increase from 0.3 g to 0.5 g. This helps build strength safely. The current student record is 42 seconds, achieved by a Thoraxian warrior caste student last year. The class murmured. 42 seconds was apparently very impressive. Who would like to volunteer first? Velmara asked. Before Taman could think about it, his hand was up. He walked to the starting line, feeling all the eyes on him. The track felt soft under his feet, almost bouncy. Ready? Velmara asked. Begin, Taman started running. The gravity increased gradually, pulling at him slightly. It felt strange, going from the station's 0.4 g to 0.5 g, but it was still less than Earth's normal gravity. He ran at what felt like a comfortable pace, not too fast, not too slow. He crossed the finish line and stopped. The gymnasium was completely silent. Everyone was staring at him. Did I do something wrong? Taman asked. Velmara's crystalline form flickered rapidly, colors swirling inside her. You completed it in 19 seconds. Is that bad? Taman's stomach sank. Maybe he had broken some rule. Bad? Velmara seemed to struggle with words. That's faster than the record. By half, the other students began whispering. Taman felt his face grow hot. He had just wanted to volunteer to help start the class. Now everyone was staring at him like he was some kind of freak. Perhaps, Velmara said slowly, perhaps the equipment malfunctioned. Hyunwoo, would you try? Hyunwoo walked to the starting line, shot Taman a confused look, and started running when Velmara gave the signal. He crossed the finish line in 17 seconds. The gymnasium erupted in shocked whispers. Taman looked at Jiwoo and Minji. They both looked as confused as he felt. What had they done wrong? They had just run. It wasn't even that fast. Velmara spent 10 minutes checking the equipment. She tested the gravity settings 3 times, ran diagnostic programs, and even asked another instructor to verify her readings. Everything was working perfectly. The track was fine. The gravity had increased exactly as programmed. The problem, if it could be called that, was the humans. "Let us continue," Velmara finally said, though her voice sounded uncertain. "Jiwoo, Minji, would you like to attempt the run?" Jiwoo went first. She bounced to the starting line with a bright smile, clearly not understanding why everyone seemed so tense. When Velmara gave the signal, she ran with easy, flowing movements. She finished in 20 seconds and returned to the group looking pleased with herself. Minji went last. Unlike the others, she had never been particularly athletic. She jogged regularly to stay healthy, but that was it. She approached the run the same way she approached everything, methodically and carefully. She finished in 23 seconds. The alien students stared. 23 seconds was still half the previous record, and Minji had made it look effortless. A bird-like student with bright purple feathers raised a wing. "Instructor Velmara, how is this possible? Are humans using some kind of enhancement technology?" "We're not," Taman said quickly. "We're just running normally." "Normally?" The bird student's translator made it sound like she was chirping in disbelief. "You run at 0.5 G like it is nothing." 0.5 G is pretty light, Hyunwoo said, trying to be helpful. "Earth's gravity is 1 G, so this feels easier than home." The gymnasium went silent again. Then the whispers started louder this time. Taman caught fragments. Twice their normal gravity. How do they survive? Warrior species pretending to be students. Velmara held up a crystalline hand. "Quiet, please. Let us continue with the next assessment." She led them to a different section of the gymnasium. Large chambers lined the wall, each with a door and a control panel. "These are atmospheric adaptation chambers," Velmara explained. "Inside we can adjust oxygen levels, temperature, and humidity. This exercise teaches your body to handle different environments." She opened the first chamber. It was a small room with padded walls and a bench in the center. "You will sit inside for 30 minutes while the oxygen level gradually decreases. The lowest level is 18% oxygen, compared to the station's normal 22%. When you feel uncomfortable, simply press the button and the door will open. There is no shame in stopping early. This is very challenging." A reptilian student named Zorth volunteered first. He was large, with green scales and powerful-looking muscles. He entered the chamber with confidence. The door sealed behind him. Taman watched the timer. At 5 minutes, when the oxygen reached 20%, Zorth pressed the button and exited. He was breathing hard, his scales slightly darker than before. "Well done," Velmara said. 5 minutes is a good first attempt. Other students tried. Most lasted between 3 and 7 minutes. The longest was a student from a high-altitude species who managed 12 minutes before giving up. Everyone congratulated him. 12 minutes was apparently exceptional. "Would any humans like to try?" Velmara asked. She sounded hesitant, like she was afraid of the answer. Minji stood up. "I'll go." She entered the chamber and sat on the bench. The door sealed. Taman watched the timer count up while the oxygen percentage counted down. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. At 18 minutes, the oxygen reached its minimum of 18%. Minji sat on the bench, eyes closed, breathing slowly and evenly. She looked perfectly calm. The full 30 minutes passed. Minji opened her eyes, stood, and pressed the button. She stepped out looking exactly the same as when she went in. "How do you feel?" Velmara asked. "Fine," Minji said. "It reminded me of when I visited Denver. That's a city in the mountains. The air is thin there too, but you get used to it." The bird student who had spoken earlier was frantically tapping on her data pad. "I am researching human worlds. Denver is 1,609 meters above sea level. Humans live there permanently?" "Lots of humans live there," Minji said. "Some cities are even higher. La Paz in Bolivia is over 3,600 meters up. They live where the air tries to kill them," someone whispered. "The air doesn't try to kill anyone," Jiwoo said, sounding exasperated. "It's just air. You breathe a little harder, that's all." Taman, Hyunwoo, and Jiwoo each took turns in the chamber. All three completed the full 30 minutes easily. Taman spent the time thinking about his engineering homework. Hyunwoo meditated. Jiwoo apparently took a nap, which somehow made everything worse. By the end of class, the atmosphere in the gymnasium had changed completely. The alien students clustered in small groups, whispering and glancing at the humans. Some looked frightened. Others looked fascinated. A few looked angry like they thought the humans were cheating somehow. Velamara dismissed the class early. As the students filed out, Taman heard one student say to another, "I told you they were from a death world. Look at them. They're built to survive anything." In the hallway outside, a small crowd had formed. Word had apparently spread quickly. Students from other classes had come to see the humans. Taman felt overwhelmed by all the attention. He just wanted to go back to his room. A large, imposing figure pushed through the crowd. It was Zorth, the reptilian student from class. Up close, he was even bigger than Taman had realized, easily over 2 meters tall. He stopped in front of Hyunwoo and stared down at him. "You are strong," Zorth said. His voice was deep and gravelly. "Your people must be warriors." "Not really," Hyunwoo said. "I mean, some humans are soldiers, but most of us are just regular people." "I'm studying physics." "Physics," Zorth repeated slowly. "You study the nature of reality, yet you run like the wind and breathe poison air without difficulty." "It's not poison air," Hyunwoo said. "It's just slightly less oxygen." Zorth made a rumbling sound that might have been laughter. "To you, perhaps? To most species in the galaxy, it would mean death within minutes." He placed a large hand on Hyunwoo's shoulder. "I look forward to our next class, human. You will teach me much." He walked away, leaving Hyunwoo looking confused. Was that a threat or a compliment? "I think it was a compliment," Minji said. The crowd slowly dispersed, though students continued to stare as the humans walked to their next class. Taman felt like an exhibit in a zoo. He noticed that other students moved out of their way in the hallways, giving them extra space. At lunch, they sat together in the cafeteria. The room was full of students from dozens of species, but a circle of empty tables surrounded the humans. No one wanted to sit near them. "This is getting ridiculous," Jiwoo said, poking at her food. "We're not dangerous. Why is everyone acting like we might explode?" "We broke records that stood for years," Taman said, "and we made it look easy. From their perspective, we must seem incredibly powerful." "But we're not powerful," Hyunwoo protested. "We're just normal." "Normal for Earth," Minji corrected. "Not normal for here." A small, fuzzy creature approached their table. It barely reached Taman's waist and looked like a ball of orange fur with large eyes. "Excuse me," it said in a high, squeaky voice. "Are you really from Earth?" "Yes," Jiwoo said gently. "I'm Jiwoo. What's your name?" "Pip Chi," the creature said. "I'm from Flufftopia. It is a very safe world. Warm sun, soft grass, no predators." Pip Chi's large eyes got even larger. "Is it true that Earth has creatures called tigers that hunt and eat other creatures?" "Well, yes," Jiwoo admitted. "But humans don't usually encounter tigers. We mostly live in cities." "And sharks," Pipchi continued. "I read that Earth's oceans have sharks with many teeth and they can smell blood from far away." "Sharks mostly don't bother humans," Taman said. "Shark attacks are very rare, mostly." Pipchi looked terrified. "How do you sleep at night knowing such things exist?" The 4 humans looked at each other. They had never really thought about it. Tigers and sharks were just part of life on Earth. You learned about them in school. You were careful in certain situations. And you went on with your day. "I guess we just got used to it," Hyunwoo said finally. "Amazing," Pipchi breathed. "You are very brave." The small creature bowed slightly and scurried away. Over the next week, the humans' reputation grew. Students started calling them the Deathworlders, which Taman found both embarrassing and slightly cool. More stories about Earth spread through the station, each one more exaggerated than the last. Someone claimed that humans could survive in vacuum for short periods. Someone else said that humans had poisonous sweat. A particularly wild rumor suggested that human bones were made of metal, which was why they could handle high gravity. Their second physical cultivation class was even worse. Felmara had them do strength training, using adjustable weights that could go from 0.5 kilograms to 20 kilograms. Most students struggled with 10 kilograms. Taman picked up the 20-kilogram weight with one hand and asked if there were heavier options. There were not. The class also included flexibility exercises. Jiwoo, who had done yoga back on Earth, folded herself into positions that made the alien students gasp. One student fainted when Jiwoo demonstrated a simple backbend. By the end of the second week, the humans had unintentionally created a crisis at Paradise Station. They had broken 7 different physical cultivation records, some that had stood for decades. Students were questioning whether the class was even necessary if humans could complete everything so easily. The combat training room was different from the main gymnasium. The walls were padded with some kind of energy-absorbing material that glowed faintly blue. In the center was a circular arena with a soft floor. Around the arena, various weapons hung on racks, though they all looked more ceremonial than dangerous. Velmara stood at the edge of the arena, her crystalline form reflecting the blue light. Combat training is an important part of physical cultivation, she explained. We do not seek to create warriors, but all beings should understand conflict resolution and spatial awareness. She gestured to a table where small devices sat in neat rows. You will wear dampening fields during all sparring matches. These devices prevent injury. When you are struck with sufficient force, the field registers the impact and the match ends. No one can be hurt. Taman picked up one of the devices. It was small, about the size of his thumb, and attached to his shirt. A faint shimmer appeared around him when it activated. He waved his hand through the shimmer. It felt like moving through water, but less resistant. We will begin with basic sparring, Velmara continued. The goal is not to defeat your opponent, but to understand movement and timing. Most matches last 5 to 10 minutes. She paired students randomly. Taman watched two small insect-like creatures face each other in the arena. They moved slowly, carefully, each one testing the other's defenses. After 6 minutes, one managed to tap the other's shoulder, and the dampening fields flashed. The match was over. The students bowed to each other, thanked each other for the practice, and left the arena. Several more matches followed. They all had the same careful, chess-like quality. No one moved quickly. No one took risks. It was more like a slow dance than a fight. Then Velmara called Hyunwoo and Zorth to the arena. Zorth stepped forward with confidence. He was still the largest student in the class, and his reptilian muscles rippled under his scales. He had been the champion of his previous combat class, Taman had learned. Zorth took pride in his skill. Hyunwoo walked to the arena looking nervous. Go easy, Jiwoo whispered to him. Remember, they're not used to Earth-level physical activity. Hyunwoo nodded and stepped into the arena. He and Zorth faced each other. Hyunwoo bowed, a gesture of respect he had learned growing up in Korea. Zorth interpreted this as a formal warrior's salute and bowed back deeply. Begin, Velmara said. Zorth moved first, stepping forward with practiced precision. He extended his arm in what looked like a probing strike. Hyunwoo, trying to be careful and not wanting to hurt anyone, decided to move slowly. He shifted his weight, ducked under Zorth's arm, and tapped him lightly on the side. The dampening field flashed. A tone sounded. 1 point to Hyunwoo. Zorth blinked in surprise but recovered quickly. They reset. Velmara said begin again. This time Zorth moved more carefully, watching Hyunwoo's movements. Hyunwoo, still trying to go slow, waited for Zorth to commit to an attack. When Zorth extended his arm again, Hyunwoo simply stepped to the side and tapped his shoulder. 2 points. The third exchange lasted slightly longer, maybe 3 seconds instead of 2. Zorth tried a different approach, coming in low. Hyunwoo jumped over the attack, something that was much easier in the station's low gravity, and tapped Zorth's back on his way down. 3 points. Match over, 8 seconds total. The gymnasium was silent. Hyunwoo looked worried. Did I do something wrong? Should I have let it go longer? Zorth stood very still. His scales had darkened slightly, which Taman had learned meant strong emotion in his species. Again, Zorth said. But the match is over, Velmara said. Again, Zorth repeated. The equipment must be malfunctioning. No one moves that fast. Velmara checked the dampening fields. The equipment is working correctly. Then again, Zorth said firmly. I request a rematch. Velmara looked at Hyunwoo, who shrugged nervously. Okay, I'll try to go slower. They reset. This time Hyunwoo made a conscious effort to move at what he thought was half speed. He deliberately telegraphed his movements, trying to give Zorth time to react. He counted to 3 in his head before making any move. The match lasted 11 seconds. Hyunwoo won 3-0 again. Zorth sat down heavily on the arena floor. He didn't look angry anymore. He looked stunned. You were not even trying, he said quietly. I was trying not to hurt you, Hyunwoo said. I didn't want to go too hard. Too hard? Zorth laughed, a strange hissing sound. Human, I could not even see your movements. You are like wind, like lightning. He stood up slowly. Your world must be full of predators, yes? To create such reflexes? We have some predators, Hyunwoo admitted. But mostly humans are just pretty good at physical stuff because of our gravity and environment. The rest of the class watched as other students sparred. Everyone was more subdued now. No one wanted to face the humans. When Velmara suggested Taman spar with one of the bird students, Pipchi, the small creature politely declined, saying she had injured her wing earlier. She had not injured her wing, she was simply terrified. After class, word spread even faster than before. By dinner time, everyone at Paradise Station seemed to know about Hyunwoo's match. The story grew with each telling. Some said he had moved so fast he disappeared. Others claimed he had defeated Zorth with a single touch, using some kind of death technique. That evening, as the four humans sat in their common area trying to study, a group of students approached. At the front was a being Taman hadn't seen before. It stood on two legs and had reddish skin covered in geometric patterns. Its eyes were sharp and intelligent. "I am Dax," the being said. Its voice was clipped and precise. "I am Kravith. My people are known as the warrior scholars of the galaxy. We train in combat arts while pursuing intellectual excellence." "That sounds cool," Jiwoo said uncertainly. "I have heard of your performance in physical cultivation." Dax continued. "Some say you are skilled. Some say you are lucky. I say you are cheaters." "Hey," Hyunwoo started to stand, but Minji put a hand on his arm. "We're not cheating," Taman said calmly. "We're just doing what comes naturally to us." "Then prove it," Dax said. "Face me in an exhibition match. Tomorrow in the main arena. If you are truly skilled, you will accept." "And if we don't want to?" Minji asked. "Then everyone will know you are frauds using technology or tricks to seem strong." Dax's eyes narrowed. "Your reputation will be destroyed. Earth's reputation will be destroyed." Taman felt anger rising. They hadn't asked for any of this. They had just come to study, to learn, to make friends. But now this Kravith was challenging their honor and Earth's honor. "Fine," Hyunwoo said. "I'll fight you." "No," Minji said quietly. "I will." Everyone turned to stare at her. Minji was the least athletic of the four. She had never played sports, never studied martial arts, never shown any interest in fighting. She was a medical student who spent her free time reading research papers. "Minji, you don't have to do this," Jiwoo said. "Yes, I do," Minji replied. She looked at Dax. "Tomorrow. Main arena, I accept your challenge." Dax seemed surprised but recovered quickly. "Very well. Tomorrow at noon. Do not be late." He and his group left. "Why did you do that?" Taman asked once they were gone. "Because Hyunwoo has already fought once," Minji said. "If he fights again and wins, they'll say it's because he's some kind of warrior. But if I win, someone who doesn't even like sports, then maybe they'll understand that all humans are capable, not just the athletic ones." "But what if you lose?" Jiwoo asked. "Then I lose," Minji said simply. "But I don't think I will. I took a self-defense class in college, and Dax, for all his talk, is still from a 0.6 G world." I looked up the Kravith while he was talking. They're considered strong for galactic species, but they're still operating at a disadvantage compared to humans. That night, Taman couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the next day. The whole station would be watching. If Minji lost, it would be embarrassing for all of them. If she won too easily, it might make things even worse with the other students. The next morning, news of the match had spread everywhere. As Taman walked to breakfast, students stopped to stare. Some wished him luck. Others looked disapproving. One elderly professor, a slug-like being who taught xenobiology, pulled Taman aside. "Be careful," the professor said in a whisper. "The Kravith are a proud people. If your friend humiliates Dax, there could be consequences." "She's not trying to humiliate anyone," Taman protested. "She's just defending our honor." "I know," the professor said. "But pride and honor are dangerous things. They make people do foolish things." At noon, the main arena was packed. It was a huge space, usually used for ceremonies and large gatherings. Today, hundreds of students filled the seats, all waiting to see the match. Taman sat in the front row with Jiwoo and Hyunwoo. His stomach felt like it was tied in knots. Dax entered from one side, wearing traditional Kravith fighting clothes that looked like a cross between a robe and armor. The crowd cheered for him. He raised his arms, soaking in the attention. Minji entered from the other side, wearing her normal clothes, plain pants and a simple shirt. She looked small compared to Dax and much less impressive. The crowd was mostly silent for her entrance, though Taman and his friends cheered as loudly as they could. Velmara stood between them, her crystalline form glowing brightly. "This is an exhibition match," she announced. Dampening fields are active. First to 3 points wins. Combatants, are you ready? The arena was completely silent. Hundreds of students sat frozen, trying to process what they had just witnessed. Dax stood in the center of the arena, staring at his hands like they belonged to someone else. His geometric patterns had faded slightly, which Taemin guessed meant shock or shame in Kravith. Minji walked over to him and bowed, the same respectful gesture Hyunwoo had used. "Thank you for the match," she said quietly. "You're very skilled," Dax looked at her. For a moment, Taemin thought he might explode in anger. Then slowly, Dax dropped to one knee. "You are a master," he said, his voice carrying through the silent arena. "You move like water, strike like thunder. I have trained my whole life in combat arts, and you defeated me as easily as an adult defeats a child." "I'm not a master," Minji protested. "I just took a self-defense class once. You're much more trained than I am. Then your people?" Dax looked up at her with something like awe in his eyes. "Your people must all be warriors if even your untrained can do this." "We're not warriors," Minji said, frustration creeping into her voice. "We're just humans. This is normal for us." That seemed to make it worse. The crowd erupted in whispers. Timon caught phrases. Untrained. Normal human. What are their soldiers like? The last one made him wince. He hadn't thought about it before. But if regular humans seemed this dangerous, what must Earth's actual military look like to these peaceful species? Later that evening, Taemin was summoned to the station administrator's office. Jiwoo, Hyunwoo, and Minji were summoned too. They walked through the administrative section of the station nervously. The hallways here were quieter, more serious. Important decisions were made in these rooms. The administrator's office was larger than Taemin's entire dorm room. One wall was completely transparent, showing the stars outside. Behind a massive desk sat Quelmouth, the station administrator. She was a slug-like being, about 2 meters long when fully extended, with glistening purple skin and eye stalks that swiveled independently. According to rumors, she had been running Paradise Station for over 300 years. "Sit, please," Quelmouth said. Her voice was surprisingly gentle, like a grandmother's. The humans sat in chairs that adjusted automatically to their size. "You are not in trouble," Quelmouth said immediately. "I want to make that clear. You have broken no rules. You have behaved with honor and respect. But we need to talk." She pulled up a holographic display. It showed Earth rotating slowly. "I have been studying your world," Quelmouth said. "I have read your history, your biology, your planetary specifications. I need you to understand something. According to our classification system, Earth is a Class 12 death world. Do you know what that means?" "That it's dangerous," Taemin said. "Dangerous is an understatement," Quelmouth replied. She changed the display to show a chart. "The average inhabited world in the galaxy is Class 1 or 2. My own homeworld, Slugaria, is Class 1. Perfect temperature all year, 0.4 G gravity, no predators, gentle weather. Most species come from similar worlds." She highlighted Earth on the chart. It was near the top. Class 12 means Earth is one of the most hostile inhabited planets in known space. Only 7 other inhabited worlds have a higher classification, and most of those species never leave their planets because they cannot adapt to gentler environments. "We can adapt," Jiwoo said. "Yes, you can," Quelmouth agreed. "That is part of what makes humans remarkable. But look at these specifications." She pulled up data on Earth. 1 G gravity, twice what most species experience. Oxygen levels at 21%, which most species would find toxic over time. Temperature variations from -40 to +50 Celsius. Regular natural disasters. Earthquakes, hurricanes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions. Predators that can run at 60 kilometers per hour. Ocean creatures that can detect blood from kilometers away. Insects that can kill with a single bite. She paused, letting that sink in. "And you wonder why other species are frightened of you?" "We're not trying to frighten anyone," Minji said. "I know," Quelmouth said gently. "But consider what you have done in 3 weeks. You have broken 7 physical cultivation records, some that stood for decades. You have defeated our best students in combat without effort. You have done things that to other species seem impossible. But they're not impossible," Hyunwoo protested. "We're just doing normal human things." "Exactly," Quelmouth said. "Normal human things are extraordinary by galactic standards, and that is the problem we need to solve." She changed the display again. Now it showed the Gauntlet of Ascension, the final exam for physical cultivation. "Let me show you what you will face at the end of the semester." The display showed various challenges: a 2-kilometer run at 0.6 g, a 15-meter climbing wall, an obstacle course with wind speeds up to 15 miles per hour, a temperature chamber that went from 15 to 30 degrees Celsius, a final endurance test combining everything. Taman looked at his friends. This was easier than a normal gym class back on Earth. Much easier. The running distance was shorter. The gravity was lower. The wind was barely noticeable. The temperature range was comfortable. Only 40% of students passed the gauntlet on their first attempt, Quelmouth said. It is considered one of the most difficult challenges at Paradise Station. Students train all semester to prepare, and you, she looked at them sadly. You could probably complete it right now without any training at all. Is that bad? Taman asked. It presents a problem, Quelmouth said. If you complete the gauntlet as easily as I suspect you will, it will invalidate generations of student achievements. Students who spent months preparing, who failed multiple times before succeeding, who consider passing the gauntlet the greatest accomplishment of their academic lives. How will they feel when 4 humans walk through it like it is a casual stroll? The humans sat in uncomfortable silence. Taman hadn't thought about it that way. They had been so focused on their own experience, on trying not to mess up, that they hadn't considered how their success might affect others. What do you want us to do? Minji asked. Should we fail on purpose? No, Quelmouth said firmly. I would never ask you to fail intentionally. That would be dishonest and disrespectful to your own abilities. But we need to find a solution that respects both your capabilities and the achievements of other students. We could not take the test, Jiwoo suggested. Just skip physical cultivation entirely. That is not permitted, Quelmouth said. All students must complete core requirements. And besides, that would also be unfair to you. You came here to learn and experience everything Paradise Station offers. They talked for over an hour. Quelmouth asked them questions about Earth, about their lives, about how they viewed their own physical capabilities. The humans tried to explain that they didn't feel special or extraordinary. They were just normal people doing normal things. That is exactly what makes you special, Quelmouth said. You do not realize how remarkable you are because you have nothing to compare to except other humans. But compared to the rest of the galaxy, you are exceptional. Finally, Quelmouth dismissed them. Think about this, she said. Talk among yourselves. I will speak with Velmara and other faculty. We will find a solution that works for everyone. As they walked back to their dormitory, none of them spoke. Taman felt confused and a little sad. He had been so excited to come to Paradise Station, to study with aliens, to be part of something bigger than Earth. He hadn't expected to be treated like some kind of super being. Back in their common area, they found Pipchi waiting for them. The small fuzzy creature was pacing nervously, her orange fur fluffed up. I heard you were called to Administrator Quelmouth's office, Pipchi said. Are you in trouble? Are they sending you home? No, Jiwoo said, sitting down next to Pipchi. Nothing like that. They just wanted to talk about the physical cultivation class. Oh. Pipchi deflated slightly. I was worried. I would be sad if you left. You have been kind to me. That made Taman feel better. At least they had made one friend. Pipchi, Minji said slowly. Can I ask you something? Are you afraid of us? Pipchi's large eyes got even larger. She was silent for a moment. Yes, she finally said. But not the way you think. I am not afraid you will hurt me on purpose. You have been nothing but gentle and kind. But I am afraid of what you represent. What do we represent? Taman asked. Power, Pipchi said quietly. Strength. The ability to do things I could never do. My people, the Fluffs of Flufftopia, we are peaceful. We have no predators, no dangers, no challenges. For millions of years we have lived in comfort and safety. Then we meet the galactic community and learn that we are weak, that other species can do things we cannot. That is uncomfortable. She looked at them with her huge eyes. Then you come from Earth, a world that would kill me in minutes, and you tell us that what you do is normal. That any human can do these things. It makes me realize how small I am, how protected my life has been. And that is frightening, but also, she paused, also maybe good to know. How is it good? Hyunwoo asked. Because now I know I can be stronger, Pipchi said. Maybe not human strong, but stronger than I am. You make me want to try harder, to push myself, to see what I am capable of. Taman felt something click in his mind. That's it, he said suddenly. That's the solution. The others looked at him. What do you mean? Jiwoo asked. Administrator Quelmuth listened to their proposal with interest. Her eye stalks swiveled between each human as they spoke, taking in every word. When they finished, she was quiet for a long moment, thinking. "It is unconventional," she finally said. "The gauntlet of ascension has always been an individual challenge. Each student faces it alone, succeeds or fails on their own merit. But why does it have to be that way?" Jiwoo asked. "Isn't cooperation more valuable than competition? Wouldn't it be better if students helped each other succeed?" Quelmuth's skin rippled, which Taman had learned was her equivalent of a smile. "You sound like me when I was young. I argued the same thing when I became administrator. The faculty rejected my proposal. They said individual achievement builds character." "Did you agree with them?" Minji asked. "No," Quelmuth said. "But I accepted their decision because I understood their reasoning. Character is important, but so is compassion, cooperation, and community. Perhaps it is time to try something new." She called Velmara to her office. The crystalline instructor arrived quickly, her form glowing with curiosity. When Quelmuth explained the human's proposal, Velmara's colors swirled rapidly. "It is brilliant," Velmara said. "Instead of the humans making others feel inadequate, they inspire growth. Instead of competition, cooperation. Instead of proving superiority, they demonstrate leadership." "There are risks," Quelmuth warned. "Some students may resist. They may see accepting help as admitting weakness." "Then we make it optional," Taman suggested. "Students who want to attempt the gauntlet alone can do so. But those who want a partner can pair with one of us." Over the next week, preparations began. Velmara announced the new option during physical cultivation class. "The Gauntlet of Ascension will proceed as normal," she explained. "However, this year you may choose to work with a partner. The humans have volunteered to serve as guides and coaches for anyone who wishes assistance." The reaction was mixed. Some students, like Pipchi, immediately signed up. Others, like Dax, looked insulted by the suggestion that they needed help. Zorth surprised everyone by signing up instantly. "I am not too proud to learn from masters," Zorth announced. "If the humans can teach me to be stronger, I will listen." Dax confronted Zorth after class. "You dishonor yourself seeking help from those who defeated us." "No," Zorth replied calmly. "I honor myself by seeking to improve. You dishonor yourself by letting pride prevent growth." Dax left without another word, but Taman noticed him watching the training sessions from a distance. Training began 2 weeks before the gauntlet. Taman worked with Pipchi on the running portion. The small fuzzy creature was terrified of the increasing gravity, but Taman taught her breathing techniques and pacing strategies. "Don't think about the whole distance," Taman said as they practiced. "Think about the next 10 meters. Then the next 10. Break it into small pieces." "But my legs hurt," Pipchi whimpered as the gravity increased. "That's okay," Taman said, running alongside her. "Pain is just information. It tells you you're working hard, but it doesn't mean you need to stop. Listen to your body, but don't let discomfort make decisions for you." By the end of the first week, Pipchi completed the 2-kilometer run for the first time in her life. She collapsed at the finish line, exhausted and crying. "I did it," she sobbed. "I actually did it." "You did," Taman said, genuinely proud. "And next week you'll do it faster." Hyunwoo worked with Zorth on the obstacle course. The large reptilian was strong but slow, his movements careful and calculated. Hyunwoo showed him how to use momentum. "Don't fight against your weight," Hyunwoo explained. "Use it when you jump, let your mass carry you. When you swing, let gravity help instead of resisting it." Zorth practiced the techniques, his movements becoming more fluid. "On my world, we are taught to be stable, grounded," he said. "This feels wrong, but also right." "Different doesn't mean wrong," Hyunwoo said. "It's just different." Jiwoo helped a group of students with the climbing wall. She taught them about balance and leverage, about trusting handholds and footholds. "Don't grab with just your hands," she instructed. "Push with your legs. Your leg muscles are stronger than your arms." A bird-like student named Cree struggled with the concept. Her species flew naturally and climbing felt unnatural. "I should just fly up," Cree complained. "But the gauntlet doesn't allow flying," Jiwoo reminded her gently. "So we need to find another way. What if you think of it as flying with your hands and feet instead of wings?" Something clicked for Cree. She approached the wall differently, her movements becoming more confident. When she reached the top for the first time, she let out a chirping cry of triumph that echoed through the gymnasium. Minji worked with students on the mental aspects of the gauntlet. Many aliens found the temperature changes and reduced oxygen more psychologically challenging than physically challenging. Your mind is powerful, Minji explained to a group. If you tell yourself you can't do something, your body believes you. But if you stay calm, if you focus on breathing and staying present, your body can do amazing things. She taught them meditation techniques, ways to calm racing thoughts, methods to stay focused under stress. An insectoid student named Tickleth was particularly responsive to these lessons. My people are anxious by nature, Tickleth explained. We worry about everything. But these techniques help quiet my mind. You're already stronger than you think, Minji told her. You just need to believe it. As training continued, something unexpected happened. The student body's attitude toward the humans began to shift. They were no longer seen as frightening Deathworlders, but as dedicated teachers who genuinely cared about their students' success. One evening, Taman found Dax watching the training sessions again. The Kravith warrior had been watching every day but never participating. You're welcome to join, Taman said carefully. I do not need help, Dax said, but his voice lacked conviction. No one needs help, Taman replied, but everyone can benefit from learning. I learned something new every day here. Pipchi taught me about patience. Zorth taught me about discipline. Even watching Kree climb taught me to think about movement differently. You learn from them? Dax sounded surprised. But you are stronger. Strength isn't everything, Taman said. And I'm not stronger than them at everything. Pipchi knows more about biology than I ever will. Zorth understands physics in ways that surprise me. Strength is just one type of power. Dax was quiet for a long moment. I was angry when Minji defeated me, he finally admitted. Not at her, at myself. I have trained my whole life, and she defeated me without effort. It made me question everything. She didn't mean to make you feel that way, Taman said. None of us did. We're just different, not better. Perhaps, Dax said slowly. Perhaps I could learn from this difference. The next day, Dax joined the training sessions. He was quiet, almost humble, working alongside students he had previously considered beneath him. Hyunwoo worked with him personally, and they developed an unexpected friendship. Finally, the day of the gauntlet arrived. The main arena was transformed into a massive obstacle course. The running track curved around the outside. The climbing wall rose in the center. Various stations tested different skills. Hundreds of students filled the observation areas, creating an atmosphere of excitement and nervousness. 30 students were attempting the gauntlet today. 20 had chosen to work with human partners. 10, including several top students, chose to attempt it alone. Their pride demanded they try without assistance. Quelmouth addressed the crowd. Today marks a new chapter in Paradise Station history, she announced. We celebrate not just individual achievement, but also cooperation, teaching, and growth. May all participants find success, the gauntlet began. Students and their human partners spread out across the arena, each starting with different challenges based on their strengths and weaknesses. Taman ran alongside Pipchi. The small creature was terrified as the gravity increased, but she remembered her training. Small pieces, she muttered to herself. Just the next 10 meters. You're doing great, Taman encouraged. Breathe. Stay steady. Pipchi crossed the finish line and collapsed, gasping. I did it, she wheezed. Oh, ancestors, I did it. Across the arena, Zorth moved through the obstacle course with Hyunwoo's guidance. His movements were fluid now, confident. He used momentum and weight to his advantage, techniques that would have been impossible for him to learn alone. When he completed the course, he roared in triumph, a sound that echoed through the entire arena. Jiwoo guided Kree up the climbing wall. The bird student moved carefully, trusting her grip, using her legs. She reached the top and looked down at the arena below. I'm flying, she chirped happily. Just with my hands instead of wings. Minji worked with Tickleth through the temperature and oxygen chambers. The insectoid student panicked halfway through, her anxious nature overwhelming her. I can't do this, Tickleth chittered. I can't breathe. It's too hard. Yes, you can, Minji said calmly. Listen to my voice. Breathe with me. In for 4 counts, out for 4 counts. You're not in danger. Your body can handle this. Your mind just needs to trust your body. Slowly, Tickleth's breathing steadied. She closed her eyes and focused on Minji's voice. When the chamber finally opened, she stumbled out and